Greetings! This is a how I built the thing video for this thing. This thing is the Gold Digger. It's a hydrogen powered mining ship, and the reason I'm bothering to make a how to build it video for a hydrogen powered small grid mining ship is that it's small enough to fit through a gate, and that's its whole thing and its whole deal. So, as is often the case for a small grid ship, I'm starting by flipping a small connector onto a large connector, and then you just add a token battery and lock it in place. Once you've got it nice and locked, it is of course a nice solid platform to build the rest of your ship off. Rather than using landing gear, because this is going to be a hydrogen powered ship, so it's going to need an initial dose of hydrogen coming from the main base. So on with hydrogen tank number 1, vertically mounted. That's the way I'm rolling with these gate ships. Second one connected by the small port in the side, and already the ship is 10 blocks long out of 17. But that takes care of a nice juicy fuel supply for us. As I say, 17 blocks long is the limit for getting through the gate. Roughly 7 or 8 wide is what you can get away with. The gate's circular, so you can't just have a blocky ship, an 8x8 block of a ship, and expect to squeeze it through a circular gate. But you can get away with being 8 spaces wide in parts. So take special note of that medium container there. It's vitally important because it's not going to stay there, and I left it in the edit to mess with your head, not because I'm incompetent, honest. So there's a bit of a T-shape of conveyor ports happening up against the main tank there. It becomes a bit of an I shape as it branches out at the top as well, and on those we're going to mount drills, cargo, basically everything we need for a mining ship. Needs to go in 7 spaces in front of here. So a pair of drills, because we don't really have room for pistons or any too much mucking around. We don't even have room to put the cockpit and then put the drill on the nose of the cockpit. We're squeezing it in, so double drill means we've got length. These drills aren't going to overhang the rest of the ship by that much, so given that that's the case, having 2 of them side by side gives us a bit more mining power that we can call on. So I-shaped block of conveyor connectors here. Medium cargo is the bulk of the ore storage you'll have is the single medium cargo. So it's important to be thinking about how heavy the whole thing's going to get and whether you're going to be able to lift it on the alien planet, etc. So having more storage would be nice, but having low storage means we've got lots of fuel supply, lots of lift on bizarre planets. So in order to squeeze through the gate, you don't want to be too square and chunky, so we trim that medium cargo container in and wedge it up against the cockpit there, so it's not quite as big of a box to try and squeeze through the gate. And then we jump into a bit of a fast forward and go for the slap as many engines on it as we need. Fast forward mode, gonna need at least, well, maybe not at least, but we're gonna want 8 lifting engines on a beastie like this. So 8 lift and 3, I think we end up with 3 forwards on each side, so we end up with 6 pushing engines and 6 braking engines and 8 lifting engines, and it's got a lot of thrusters to throw things around because of course you're going to get heavy when you're mining ore. Same with strafes, so we can do my usual strafing trick of just adding them to the connector down there, because they're not super compatible with this system of side connectors. So a couple of small reactors for token power supply, a wad of small batteries for token power supply. If you forget to put uranium in there, at least there's a chance you're not going to conk out your hydrogen power chip. You're going to want a bit of drill power. So these are small cargo containers, so I'm just wedging in some strips of small cargo into the little leftover spots here. You just want a little bit more ore storage. Basically, your ore storage can be scattered around in fiddly little containers like this, and it's not a big deal. Key is to land on some sort of slurping mechanism, land on a sorter that just sucks all the ore out of your ship. And extra strafing power, you want plenty of push in every which direction because it's a mining ship. It's going to be tilting in funky directions left, right and centre, so it's a case of fast forwarding on a decent amount of engines. Gyros are on the bottom. There ends up with an ore detector on the bottom there somewhere. It's always handy on a mining oriented ship. But that's roughly the gist of the innards. It's got the fundamentals it needs. It's got a few gyros, plenty of thrust in every which direction. We've got a strip of conveyors on the bottom here we can add the ejectors to, because you're going to want to eject a whole bunch of rock while you're mining. It's just always the gist. So we put on some little snazzy gold plates, some little spangles to make it look presentable. It's always going to be a box of plumbing. It's a minimalist, squeeze it through the gate and do some mining ship, but at least it's got a few fancy gold plates. Make it extra swish. So plenty of thrusting power, but overall a very simple ship. A few reactors here, a few batteries there. The hydrogen double tank gives it a decent amount of range, decent amount of duration out in the field digging deep holes. And there's your big row of ejectors on the bottom to spit out all the stone as you mine. It's always a key thing. And that's basically the gist of the gold digger. It's just a feisty little mining ship that can squeeze through the gate. It's got a bit of range. It digs little holes, it digs up your platinum or whatever it is, fills its box with that, spits out all the spare stone so it's not too heavy, and then comes trundling back through the gate with a sweet delivery of platinum from the other side of the solar system. And that's how you take advantage of the Stargate mod with a vanilla mining ship to deliver your goodies to your door. That's how I built that. And I'll see you in the next video.